Peace to each. This is Unplug 'em. This is 6/16/2014. And this is a special message here. We're going to take a break from the irregularly scheduled deprogramming. And I want to give a shout out to House Junkie 777. I thank you for your correspondence, for sharing. Because we was always taught in school that sharing is caring. And also to Sister Remy Romans. I thank you, sister. I believe that we are all, and to God be the glory. To the Most High goes all of the honor, the praise, and the glory, mandatory. And I believe that we are all gifted in our own way. We all have talents. It's good that we find out what they are, that we stay in our lanes, because then we'll go far. But sometimes people get out of their lane and, swerve and crash. So I just try to stay in my lane. And even as we get older, the Creator can change your lane in your direction. And I'm thankful that He has allowed for me to be useful in this way, as opposed to doing something as trivial, from my point of view now, as making some fresh music. But I do appreciate your compliment, sister. And because God is no respecter of persons, I must say also that I know that you too are talented, as we all are. Sometimes circumstances and situations make you find your talents quicker than other times in situations. So, sometimes we get locked into our positions in life because of the pay scale or because of the convenience of a particular occupation. And that may not be the occupation that is in relation to your gifts and talents. And so I'm thankful to be able to do, as Dr. King said, God's will. And I'm thankful to you all. So yes, let's just jump right into this thing, because we have some important things that I'd like to share quickly and then move on from here. This is supposed to be a two-parter, because also in accordance with the sister Martha's request that automatic be looked at, I went back this weekend and I did the due diligence, and I looked into some more songs. I wanted to present some different songwriter secret songs, and even some of the ones that I had on the documentary, and that they blanked them out, but I wanted to present some of those songs to you guys today that I looked at from off of the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas soundtrack, and then some others as well. And so I hope to do both. So, but I want to separate it in two, because some of you may not be so interested in the songwriter secret, and some of you may be more interested in the songwriter's secret. Interested. And we're going to cover a wide range of things today. I try not to be in a box, but I try not to repeat what others have said. And I don't really interest myself in things that I see well covered on the net, because I find that my space and place, just as it was in making music, was to try to do something that's not commonly done, and even more difficult to try to do something that nobody's doing, or say something that nobody's saying. So that's always going to be my concern. And I've been on here for about 2 years now, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, in some of my earlier videos, you'll find, the volume is too low, or, I misspoke on some things. But I try to get it right and exact to the actual fact. 720. I'm not in a box. I don't simply talk about the boule. This is not the Steve Harvey show. I'm not interested in Jennifer Lopez and who she's with today or not. So those things you're not going to hear come out of my mouth. There's plenty of channels that deal with that. So let's just jump in. All right. First of all, what the foremost thing on my mind right now is this. We are approaching the cusp. We are leaving out of, and again, this is not for my belief, But this is part of the army of God and our duty as a military outfit for the Most High that is not out to harm anyone in any way, shape, or form or do any violent act, but we're out to stay informed. We want to stay informed, and for those of you that are believers, we want to cover each other in prayer because our war is a spiritual war. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. And I want to make that absolutely clear. Okay? Our enemy uses spiritual tactics against us. So if you don't understand that, or if you're not actively in that battle, you can't tell me nothing. Take it how you want to take it. But for those of you who hear from the Creator and who understand His reality, you know, I was once a game goofy goober too, and I believed that all you needed was intellect, facts and figures. Then I began to understand where the facts and figures are coming from. Okay? Who's controlling things? There's an agenda to push you in certain directions, to feed certain information to you, to breadcrumb you down a particular road. Okay? I'm honoring hard-headed as I was always told. So if swaying me one way or the other is your goal, you're going to waste your time. I'm swayed by the king of the way. Okay? I'm not told what to do by Jesuit forces. I'm not told what to do by non-believing forces. I'm not told what to do by any brotherhood, clan, group, or society. I'm only told what to do by the Most High, you see. And for some of you, you don't understand that because you do not have that particular area of intelligence that is called spiritual wisdom. You may have intellectual knowledge. You may be book smart. But brother got to do his work. But you're not, I'm not sure, brother, but you want to take those elevators over there. I'm going to go to the 8th floor. At least he didn't say the 13th. Have mercy. But yes, linear logic is only going to take you so far, and you're only going to be so useful. Nobody's going to come and see you. Ain't nobody going to tap your phone. You're not a threat. When you begin to play the game the way they play the game, okay, fire versus water. You don't fight fire with fire. Everything burn up. But you have to use the equal opposite force we was taught in martial arts. Even Bruce Lee said, be like a water. So when you see the enemy is doing A, you don't do A back at them. They feeding information. It has to go beyond information. Okay? Is it mysticism? Call it what you want. Some call it supernatural. I don't know what to call it. But it has worked for me a number of times, and it works consistently. Beyond coincidence, beyond my shaping of a reality or believing what I want to believe, and then it works because I believe it. Poppycock. When I was a non-believer, there was something greater than me protecting me. Have mercy. You ever been shot at? Been shot at on 2 occasions. Shot back too. One. But on the other occasion, I was walking down the street and I had beef, and I was not a believer. I did not believe in the Lord. I believed there was a higher power, something greater. I believed there was a creator. But I had some beef with somebody. I walked where I had to walk, did what I had to do regardless. I was coming back from the store. They stayed in the neighborhood too. I knew the sound of their car because it was raggedy. And I knew how it sounded. And I heard their car coming up the street. I didn't beat my feet on the concrete. I kept strolling. They rolled up. They popped a couple shots. I guess they shot in the air. I don't know. I didn't even look back. I kept walking just like I didn't know they was there. And I know they must have thought this brother is crazy. But it's not that. I don't believe nothing will happen to me unless the Most High wills it. And even at that stage in the game when I didn't quite have it all together, I knew that much. I knew there was something greater than me that watched out for me. Okay? I've been guilty and in handcuffs. And I dropped down on my knees in front of the police and I prayed that the Lord would make them let me go. And without having to compromise myself in any way, shape, or form, I believed and I had faith. And he that is my judge, my only judge, let me go. Have mercy. The laws of the land, they're corrupted. It's not my job to wage war of any kind, nor do I direct anyone to wage war. And I'm setting this up specifically like this for a reason, because we're coming up upon June 22nd, which is the summer solstice. And when I did a quick search as the individual who I have been working with in the deliverance, in the process of delivering them from things that they've been oppressed by for over a decade, and they are indeed under the MK umbrella, without a doubt. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I ain't the dullest bulb in the lamp. My main concern and focus of study has been mind control. Okay? Number one. Because as a student of all things mental and metaphysical for years, I'm talking about when you was reading comic books, have mercy, I wanted to know how to move things with my mind, how to read minds of others, how my grandma could read mine. How can you close the door with your mind? My father would tell me to concentrate on the door and just will for it to close. When I was little, I'm not the regulos, so don't get it twisted, because I know how to adjust my vernacular. Have mercy. I can go all collegiate if you'd like, but I don't like. I'm relaxed. I made the mistake of doing that before. Had a sister who I was looking to make something everlasting with, or at least lasting through this life. And one of the things that I think I erred on was I allowed myself to get too comfortable. And when I'm comfortable, I talk with people like family talk. That's how I talk with y'all. I don't have to talk this way. I don't have to speak this way. Okay? If you've ever seen me write, if you notice, I can write a variety of ways. My scholarship was in creative writing, not basketball. Have mercy. So I might have got that wrong about LeBron James, y'all. But yes, June 22nd is coming up, and this individual whom I've been working with asked me about the date. Now, this is all important stuff here, because I also know how to sense a potential setup. I've been in those places and spaces. Okay? I ran them bags out the door. I know what it's like. I know how you gotta be looking and thinking. Chess, not checkers. None of these things are things I take pride in, but it's part of experience. And with a certain amount of experience, what knowledge you have is only amplified. Knowledge without experience will diminish your ability to overstand. So I understand that this date is a cusp. That's the first thing that came to my mind, not realizing that it is the official summer solstice. But when I looked it up, even when I'm game goofy, which is not often, but I understand how to let the spirit move me. And I don't mean any spirit, neither. I ain't talking about the spirits you get to come to the back of your room with a plate of rice and a bowl of rum and a cigar. Have mercy. I'm talking about the spirit you simply ask and you shall receive. You say, well, I prayed before, it didn't work. That's like saying, I did some push-ups before, I didn't get no results. Have mercy. You ain't do enough. Thanks to the general, to that big shout out to General John and Beit Ahava. And yes, we're going to talk about a few things. But June 22nd is the 173rd day of the year, which equals 11, which of course equals 2 when you put them together. So it's a big duality thing going on. I understand. I'm going to write down a couple things. Not much. I'm just going to go off of these notes. You're ending Gemini, which is what? About duality. All of the signs have their place in duality because they're all named after some sort of mystic or occult concept that relates to the fallen angels who need you to be in a state of duality, no matter what season that you're born in. And again, we examine these things to understand the ways of the enemy, who are astro theologists. They believe in the astral plane. I came to bring the pain hardcore to your brain. Let's go inside my astral plane. Hot and Method Man. But yes, they are in the deception that it is the stars and spirits and planets that will give you power. The silver shadow. We'll let this brother pass by here one more time. I guess he found the 8th floor. Hope he find the door. Okay. And I had to look at some things about the date. Okay. Juno, we've talked about before. June, Junius, Genius, Genie, Jinn, all related. Did I go too fast? No, because I've done that a million times. Go back and look at the, Lord have mercy, at the Gemini and Heart video. I believe I did it again there. I've done that a number of times. To keep it moving, I won't do it again. But yes, there's a relationship between Juno, Janus, Genie, January. There's a duality there. Now we're going out of the season that they call Gemini, which is the twins, strong in duality. The energy, according to the enemy, is prime for duality. This is one of the reasons why you see and have seen a lot of MK Ultra mind control slaves used to carry out what people call false flags, some call hoaxes. I don't agree totally with nothing that nobody say, unless of course it comes from the infallible one. And I know the difference between the voice of the Most High and my own voice. Your voice is louder in your head because you loud and egotistical and arrogant and ignorant. You ignore the small still voice. Ignorant. Ignore ant. So January 22nd, watch out. Because she asked me that date and I said, why? She didn't answer immediately. But after awakening later, because they're time zone is different than my own. When she got back to me, she said, oh, because they kept telling me, and when she says they, she gives a lot of life and power to the spirits that she's been so acquainted with for so long. She's become too familiar with them. And part of our issue has been that she has spent so much time being told by them what to do that she believes their report oftentimes more than the Most High. And let me say that in past tense. Excuse me. Strike that. Recording angels. She used to believe more in their report. Speak those things that are not as though they were. And again, pray for Kim. So June 22nd, they said, and I'm quoting, so if your ears are virgin, start to say something, have mercy. I apologize, but I'm quoting, well, I'll just say it the way they said on the radio. They said 9 days, 9 days, 9 days, be. They don't say it like that on the radio, I know. And 9 days from that day was the 22nd. So, still wasn't quite sure, well, what was the significance of it. I show you how off I can be when I'm thinking. I said, well, is that Juneteenth? I know it's an ink at the end of Juneteenth. I even brought her that back. I said, well, I think it's Juneteenth. When it stayed on my mind. Again, that was that which is greater than me. Keeping me, hey, no, that ain't it. Look some more, look some more. Seek and ye shall find. Seek is a verb, an action word. It implies work. So I have to work for mine. Okay? Not all the time. Sometimes the Creator, because He's graceful and merciful, just drop it right on me. But He wanted me to work for it. And this whole experience, this particular experience, He's been allowing me to learn a lot because He's been causing me to work, to seek, to find, to ask, to receive. But anyhow, when I looked it up, what I saw on Wikipedia, and you can look it up as well, this is before I realized that it was indeed the summer solstice. 217 BC, the Battle of Raphia. Ptolemy IV of Egypt defends Antiochus III the Great. 168 BC, the Battle of Pydna. 1527, Fatahila chased away Portugal from Sunda Kelapa Harbor, and people celebrated it as birthday of Jakarta, Indonesia. 1593, Battle of Sisak. 1622, Portuguese forces repel a Dutch invasion. 1633, the Holy Office in Rome forces Galileo Galilei to recant his view that the sun, not the earth, is the center of the universe in the form he presented it in after heated controversy. 1774, the British passed the Quebec Act. 1774, the British passed the Quebec Act, setting out rules of governance, that's for you goofy goobers, for the colony of Quebec and you little lame Lamonts in British North America, pardon me. 1783, a poisonous cloud caused by the eruption of the Laki volcano. 1807, the British warship HMS Leopard attacks and boards the American frigate USS Chesapeake. 1813, the War of 1812. After learning of American plans for a surprise attack on beaver dams in Ontario, Lawrence Sicard sets out on a 30-kilometer journey on foot to warn Lieutenant James Fitzgibbon. 1839, Cherokee leaders Major Ridge, John Ridge, and Elias Boudinot are assassinated for signing the Treaty of New Echota, which had resulted in the Trail of Tears. So again, as I looked all down it, I saw wars and wars, and then I saw massacres. 1922, the Heron Massacre. 19 strikebreakers and 2 Union miners are killed in Heron, Illinois. 1918, the Hammond Circus train wreck kills 86 and injures 127 near Hammond, India. 1911, George V and Mary of Teck are crowned King and Queen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. 1940, France is forced. Again, we find forcing. So I saw a thing. I see a thing. Forcing, massacres, and killings. Could it be possible that this individual has been programmed? Because when I was having my back and forth with the strong man there, he claimed, no, we won't let her go. She was given to us. We found out the bottom line to that was that she had been dedicated as a baby. Okay? And then we found out, he said, no, we're saving her for something very special. So now again, if British intelligence is behind this, or our intelligence is behind it, because you know they work together, like Austin Powers Gold member, then not only will they attempt to use her for some sort of strike, but again, that attempt will not be successful, because in the authority, I ask, in the authority of the name of Jesus, that attempt be unsuccessful, that the mind control does not take, that the demonic possession and the power of that possession in her mind is canceled, and the evidence is also canceled in her mind, in her thoughts, in her will, in her emotions, and in her subconscious mind especially, and in the authority of the name of Jesus. We ask, we touch, and we agree, and it is done. Now, secondly, because I'm human, I thought about, wow, now is it time for me to be delivered up? Because I thought of, well, the implications, you know, Fritz Springmeier was all good until he went to deprogramming people, which is a form of deliverance, whether you know it or not, because these people are programmed, and then demons go in. So once Fritz Springmeier got into that, he ended up going up for, they said, a suspected or alleged terrorist plot that they implicated him in, and they took him down for it. Okay? So, again, to my prayer warriors, you know what to pray. You know what to say. And I thank you for your prayers each and every day, because prayer is a reality. Hear me now, believe me later. Okay, let's jump into a few more things. Now, also, as we're coming upon this cusp, you can expect other things to increase. Now, we just saw that this cusp in particular is associated with wars. I mean, I could have read all the way down the list. That was 95% of the information. Okay? And that's just Wikipedia. So you can look at it too. While it's there, they adjust things, they scrub things, they blackmail, and they straight up lie on you. Okay? So we just want to be aware. Okay? For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but the power of love and of a sound mind. Okay? And I'm in my sanity. Insanity. Write it down. Look at it. Some of y'all out of it. Okay. That's right, because he said, my people are peculiar people. Okay? If you show love of the world, or if you have love for the world, the love of the Father is not in you. And I don't mean love for the people in the world, love for the ways of the world, the systems of the world, which again, the Creator will judge. I'm not the judge. I'm not the God. Thank God neither are you, because we'd all be through. There's things that you don't know, that you never knew. And yes, blood is shed when we're talking about the elite, who for thousands of years have worshipped these fallen ones, these demonic beings, these spirit beings, that even in Santeria, require a sacrifice of a plate and some rice. Somebody get mad every time I say that. Don't be personal about it. You the one believing some goofy gooberness. But my grandma did it. I don't know what to say for her. You neither. But yes, look for some things to escalate, I'm sure. Because we're talking about a time that has historically been used for sacrifice. And when we're talking about sacrifice, blood must be shed. These elite ain't playing games. I don't care what you say or nobody else say. If you look at it and you understand what they believe in giving up some blood to get ahead. So somebody, unfortunately, is always sacrificed. Now the news media, we know, is in on the ritual. Not the entirety of the media, not the peons that just got there and working in the basement, pushing carts around, talking about the big dogs. Okay? So know that. Okay? Anybody try to tell you nobody gets hurt, I don't agree with that. Because that would totally negate the concept of blood sacrifice. So you can't believe in both. If you believe that, then you don't believe in blood sacrifice, especially when they do certain things on certain days. So I believe that that's been put out there now. Had to put it out there. Okay, so let's roll forward. So again, look at the duality of the day. 2 2s. 11 twice. 11 already represents the twins. So double twins. They doubling the mess out you, ain't they? In June, representing what it does, the Jinn, or genie, they're coming out of June 22nd, going into the sign of the crab or the Cancer, which is what, you know, the disease is named Cancer for a reason. No offense to people that's born from June 21st or 22nd on to July 21st or 22nd. I have loved ones born on those days, so that ain't the point. Get your mind right. But let's look at some things. I know I said. I wanted to look at the occult significance of the crab. Maybe we'll look at it on here real fast. My phone is real slow. It's supposed to be a smartphone. It don't seem too smart to me. There's a lot of information on there. Okay. But from what I recall, let me just run that down while we wait for this slow thing here. These machines, man. But it's because they run off of electronic power, energy, the airwaves. The Prince of the Power of the Air and his minions out there are able to manipulate them. I saw that in Unforgettable Display. Unforgettable Display. It wasn't my mind. And it was directly connected to certain words that were said. I said certain words, camera went to blinking. Screen would fuzzy up. Showing improving. When you see them videos of people eyes flickering and showing something else, I saw all of that. Live in front of me. Okay, but yes, we know some of you love to dip them in butter. And some of you suck the leg like it's going out of style. Suck the leg like a sucker. Ain't that much meat in it. And you pay a lot for it. And when Motor City Casino had 8 nights where they giving away crab, oh boy, you should see the lines. We couldn't keep enough crab back there. I used to work there. They screwed up. They didn't need no crab though. Yeah, they threw away ungodly amounts of food. They thought they was throwing it away. I'm telling myself. Yes, I took it to the trash like you're supposed to. I dumped it right out the fresh pan. It was there for everybody. Maybe they had made a little bit too much. And I dumped it right out. I believe I did. Dumped too much of it. I was about 240 when I was working there. Okay, Cancer, the house of the crab, the dark sign. Its duration, origins, the summer solstice. Hercules and the crab is the myth that it comes from. But also, crab is related to a spider. You spider eaters. And, yes it is, it's the spider of the water. It's encased in a shell so it can stay, first of all, heavy enough to stay on the ground because they don't swim. And second of all, so it can be protected from predators of the sea that come along and just try to bite it. That's its defense. It has the pincers, which is what they relate to the greediness or the potential for seizing things that are supposed to be, or that is supposed to be a part of the energy of that season. So watch out. Okay, something may be seized. Okay. The authority in the name of Jesus is not going to be me. Okay. And I ask this in the authority of the name of Jesus, and in the authority of the name of Jesus it shall be given unto me, and it is done. But it was also one of those beings that you find in the book of Jasher when it talks about certain beings being, or even in Genesis where it talks about man being corrupted and the whole earth being corrupted, the beasts too, the plants, everything, plants and animals. But they was doing the same thing we're doing today as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the last days. They was mixing and matching and putting together different type of beings, and that's what the crab is, that's what the lobster is. By and large, most of your delicacies, because they're delicate. But most of your delicacies, things that would nobody normally eat. It's going hard on me. The books say don't eat it. And I ain't talking about y'all don't pay no attention to the book. I'm talking about people that do. Don't try to run to that one little scripture. You count all the times he say don't eat it. And then you count all the times he say he's unchanging. The same yesterday, today, and forevermore. I'm not talking to non-believers. I'll deal with you later. Calculator. Count on it. But yes, these are beings that were created. Okay? The lobster was created. Okay? Anyway. Sad. Okay, Cancer, the fourth sign of the zodiac. Again, 4, big number. Your boy Obeezy said it was his favorite number when he was asked. Also, it is related to the God principle. They say 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 10, and that stands for the Yod, or the number for God, they say. Also the 4 seasons, the 4 elements. Okay. Anyway, the fourth sign of the zodiac is situated in the northern celestial hemisphere, being composed of small stars, the brightest of which are only of the 3rd magnitude and very few visible to the naked eye. It was known in olden times as the dark sign, and is shown with its symbols in number 4 of the colored frontispiece. The sun enters this sign on June 22nd, remaining in occupation up to and including July 23rd, being in that part of the ecliptic highest above the equator, marking midsummer. Its name, Cancer, meaning a crab, is popularly supposed to have originated in the resemblance of its constellation to this crustacean, but the likeness is not at all obvious. It does not look like a crab, even if it may once have existed, so that the name probably had its origin for some other cause. And this is the other cause. The earliest known illustration of this symbol is very likely, or very like the Egyptian scarab, many antiquarians favoring this as the real symbol. So again, we have Egyptian magic and the mystery systems implied here, where the scarab or the Kespera is a very key part, okay, of their belief system. Excuse me. As is the planet Saturn. And throughout this summer, it is said, throughout the summer of 2014, the planet Saturn will be in front of the constellation Libra, the scales. Okay, a big time and thing for judgment, because to them, of course, we know Libra represents judgment, not just justice. Okay. Interesting, when they portray the scales of justice, they show her blind. She's blind, which you're supposed to believe means because, well, she doesn't discriminate in judging. How can you look at the scales and see what they say? What if it's close? Too close to feel. Okay. Saturn, of course, is Sagush in Babylonian, associated with Ninurta, who is Kronos in Greece. So we've got time also connected to this. So there's time for judgment, or time, because Saturn also represents creating order, making distinction, fate, and law. The color black, beauty and deception. It's deceptively beautiful, they say. Okay. It says the symbol of the crab is very like, well, the original, the earliest known illustration of the symbol is very like the Egyptian scarab. So again, we have a relationship between the crab and an insect. Many antiquarians, you know, a beetle, a spider, either one, you shouldn't want to eat it. Okay, how much butter you put on it, or salt. Many antiquarians just roll some spiders in some drake and fry them up. Have mercy. Many antiquarians favoring this as the real symbol, it having been used as an emblem of resurrection for over 3,000 years BC. Did you notice in the exorcism of Emily Rose, she was sitting there eating them spiders? How about in spiders and other bugs? They're like beetles, roaches, everything. How about in Constantine? Every time Constantine got ready to see a manifestation of the demonic, it showed you different types of unclean beings crawling around by his feet. You wouldn't just see serpents, you see centipedes, you see all of the creepy things that was made by the fallen angels. Go back and look at that movie. Very interesting movie to examine. Don't zone out. Don't watch movies like that, or sports or nothing else like that. Enjoy it, but enjoy it with your brain turned on. But they also showed at his feet a crab in one scene and a lobster in another. Have mercy. You're not supposed to mess with them. It ain't for your eating. There's enough things for you to eat. Why you gotta eat that too? You on a seafood diet for real. Eat every time you see food. And as this, the earliest known illustration of this symbol is very like the Egyptian scarab. Many antiquarians favoring this as the real symbol, it having been used as an emblem of resurrection for over 3,000 years BC. And as this sign marked the resurrection of the earth from the flood, which ended in the preceding zodiacal sign Gemini. The beetle or scarab is sometimes shown placed in the center of the crab's back. The significance of this, the new world bearing its symbol of eternity, because the Kesperah represents eternity, that beetle, the Egyptian scarab, is not so very surprising when we remember that the zodiac characterized highly developed religious ideas. The beginning of the sign is called the Tropic of Cancer. Why do you think they named the disease after this bug, which bugs what brought diseases? He didn't want to hear that. So he didn't say that right. I ain't got to pay no attention. The earliest belief about diseases was that they were brought to mankind by bugs, insects. When people say about the flu, you got the flu bug. Don't play with me. I don't play lottery. Okay. The beginning of the sign is called the Tropic of Cancer. And when the sun arrives within this sign, it has reached its utmost limit of north declination and seems to remain stationary a few days. That's when they're supposed to believe that it was dead, before it begins to decline again to the south. So that's the resurrection. Oh, it moved again. It's alive. This stationary altitude is called the summer solstice, or sun standing still. And the Hindus, having derived their knowledge of the stars principally from the Chaldeans and them from the Egyptians, used the crab as symbol, and them the Cometians, excuse me, let's get it right, used the crab as symbolic of this house, as in order to move forward, it is compelled, as it were, to walk backwards. That's why some of y'all are so backwards, sucking all them crab legs, which illustrates the apparent motion of the sun when it commences to move backward toward the equator. It's a little bit more on this, then we're going to move forward. In ancient mythology, we are told that this constellation was formed by a crab placed in the heavens by the goddess Juno. Again, Juno, Janus, June, Jinn, genius, okay, as a reward for the sacrifice of its life, which it lost in an attack on Hercules in her service, and so earned its translation to the celestial domains. Cancer being the zodiacal house of the moon. The moon deal with emotions. That's what some of y'all been feeling some type of way the past few days, especially. It's been a giant, big, full moon. Not to mention the Friday the 13th that just passed. Lots of rituals were being done. Lots of blood was shed and sacrificed by these brotherhood members who practice their religion and who believe in the power of the spirit realm more vigorously than you do. They get up at night and pray or curse, cast spells. Do you? Have mercy. Cancer, being the zodiacal house of the moon, is much under her influence. It's another reason why they will say people born in the season called Cancer are emotional, moody. It is the first of the watery signs. Water is moody, easily disturbed. You throw some in some water, the ripples will be seen for a long ways. They don't get over stuff easy, which is not good for them. So in accordance with the Cancer, you will find oftentimes things like certain cancers, aka diseases, showing up in the body because of their inability to let go of the energies that attract those misalignments or those dis-eases, lack of eases. Ease yourself, ease your mind, relax your mind, let your conscience be free. Have mercy. Subjects born, it is the first of the watery signs and presides over the ocean. Subjects born during this period, because of their receptive and plastic natures, may be said to reflect the influences of their surroundings, like the sea. Impressionable, yet tenacious. It's got a shell on it. You're not a crab. Drop your shell. It ain't helping you none. They are well symbolized by the crab, as their tenacity when roused is remarkable. That's right. They can be unforgiving to hold on to something, requiring little prompting to move them to determined action. Determined. Crabs in a barrel. Okay. But owing to the changeability of their moods, alternately hopeful and depressed, they often surprise their friends by suddenly letting opportunities slip just when success is within their grasp, because oftentimes they won't let go of what they need to let go of. They appreciate congenial society, but can be quite happy alone. And most intensely do they object to having their plans or arrangements made for them. They'll make some for you. Have mercy. I'm sorry, y'all. I love you all. Okay. I do. I don't hold nothing. I let it go. I have to let it go like Teddy P. But before I let go like Maze, I might tell you a couple things. But then I let it go. Okay. I'm sorry. David Rockefeller's son dies in plane crash Friday the 13th, 2014. Richard Gelder Rockefeller, the son. Okay. Interesting. That was 1 week out, or 1 week prior to the end of Gemini, beginning of Cancer. That Friday the 13th was a very significant Friday the 13th to the adversary and his soldiers. Okay. Or we talked about the summer solstice and duality. Watch out for duality. People changing up. The moon, okay, going into Cancer, okay? The double whammy of the 2-2, okay? The 22, the date of the 22nd, okay? Coming out of one sign, strong in emotion. People say that about Gemini. Everybody knows that. Don't be mad. I'm almost there. She'd have held me in 2 more days. I was a C-section, so maybe I was supposed to have came out during that particular season. But I came out on the 16th of May. It was a beautiful day. Have mercy. But anyhow, it's of no consequence. No consequence. It means nothing. It says right there in Genesis, for signs and times. Not for you to believe you act like a crab, or you act like a bull, or you name yourself after false gods like Ares. Don't claim that. It's the difference. Every good lie is founded upon some foundation of truth. Okay, we said that that day has historically been a day for massacres and wars. So watch out. If enough of us pray and we ask that the Lord let there be peace on that day, we'll overtake their prayers and their curses to the contrary. Correct? And that's all I ask you to do, is to pray. I believe in the power of prayer. It works. If you don't believe in the power of prayer, go away from here. Terrorist threat ISIS, a false flag via Al-Qaeda or the base. Al-Qaeda means the base. That's our base in the Middle East. Okay, it stands for the ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Iraq is ancient Babylon. They're doing their business over there. When I say they, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. They're building great structures, huge businesses, because it is a way, they believe, to bring about a rebirth of Babylon. There's the death of Detroit. There's going to be a rebirth of Detroit. I'm seeing it happen. There was a death of Babylon. They believe there's going to be a rebirth of Babylon. The old and the new. There will be a new Babylon in theory and geographically. It's already going down. Okay, let's read this story here from CBS News, which is one of the Brotherhood News networks. So we're reading the news for clues. Overstand? Because there's a spiritual dynamic at work that you need to overstand and be able to recognize. We have something on our side. That is that the enemy must always tell on himself. He will reveal. If you know what to look for, and even greater than you, if you allow for the Spirit of God that is within you, if it's in you. To ask you like Gatorade, is it in you? I ain't talking about the Spirit of God. But by discernment, Jeremiah 33:3, you shall know all things. The Holy Spirit shall teach you all things. We serve a God who will teach you in the way that he shall choose. Okay? He's not the God of Pastor Pork Chop. They've lied to you. They turned you off. Okay? That was part of a slick trick. You fell for it. I fell for it too. Don't feel bad. But I got my mind right. Get yours right. Okay. So again, we're looking at possibility for potential events with possessed or mind-controlled individuals who are not simply taught to act and play games. Okay? They're not going to play pity-pat with you. They're going to, because they are taught and trained, they're taught and trained the Alpha way, they're taught and trained the Delta way. Alpha, they're saying, they say, sometimes they say one thing, sometimes they say another. But with some information I was looking at recently from a very credible source, they say Alphas are taught the sex, Deltas are taught the violence, Omegas are taught the suicide, and Lambdas the funny side. But yes, so we're looking at mind control programming that will probably involve all of these things. Okay? But the Delta Force movie is what maybe say, okay, well maybe there's some credibility to that. because that was about some killers. And then the Omega, programming for suicide, because again, you know, there's lots of people have written about these things. Aside from Fritz Springmeier's, the Illuminati formula to create a totally undetectable mind control slave. And then of course you have other books as well. You have by W.H. Bowert, Operation Mind Control. It's all but out of print and hard to find. But yes, they don't teach these individuals these things, and they don't train them and go through the efforts to keep them possessed, because we found that out too after casting them out and in the authority of Jesus' name and covering them in prayer. There are forces that are constantly on their job. That's why he says pray without ceasing, to put it back in there. Have mercy. That's right. Certain triggers too that you had to be careful not to say, or else you're just going to cause a manifestation, lose connection, and not be able to get anywhere. So it was a very delicate work, and to God be the glory and the victory. Okay, because the victory is the Lord's. The battle's not mine, and the victory ain't mine neither. Have mercy. The victory is the Lord's. But yes, these individuals are not taught to play with you. They're not finna play no play games. Okay? They're gonna slay things. That's what they're programmed. That's one reason to program them to forget. So when they come to, they're unable to tell on anybody else or themselves, even, which would make them seem even more crazier in the media. So no, I don't believe that it's always something that did not happen. It's always something that did not happen the way they reported it. Have mercy. So the big headline of CBS News: will ISIS plan a 9/11 style terror plot against the U.S.? Now let's look down. Now, it was certain wording that I saw that made me even want to look at this. Let's see if we can jump back to the wording real quick. The wording was, and this is in the headline on Google when you first pull it up. It says, as the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, which has already captured the cities of ... This is a cauldron of future terrorist threats to the West. What wording? What wording? That directly implies witchcraft. There's witchcraft involved. Casey Kasem, radio pioneer, dies at 82. So what have we had? 3 old school stars in a row now. We had Ruby D. We had Casey Kasem. And then shortly before that was Maya Angelou, right? They say they always go in threes. That's no coincidence. We overstand. They are about sacrifice. But let's move on. There will be a good video on that. Somebody's going to do that already. I don't have to handle that. I don't want to, nigga. But no, rest in peace. Rest in peace. It's always sad because I'm going to tell you, these people don't get involved, especially at that age, fully understanding what's going on. Okay? The brothers are told this is African ancestral worship. We're going to bring the ancestors to help you. Okay? The others are told, oh, your aunt such and such can come back and speak to you and guide you. Or oh, we know these certain spirits we can call. They're going to help you. They help you get rich. Okay? I forget the Canadian Frenchman's name who told that story. He really did a great job telling that story and framing for us all the picture of what they're told. See, they're not told flat out, oh yeah, come on in here and worship Lucifer with us. Have mercy. Wouldn't nobody do it? I'll tell you what proof said. He didn't say they said, hey, this is my man from the Church of Satan. No. They played him like he was a minister. He had certain knowledge. He had higher knowledge. That's where you're going with your higher knowledge, blood. That's where you're going. See, they lie. They pull you in by way of your desire for control through Aquarian Age or New Age belief systems. You want control, which is all witchcraft boils down to in the first place as being control. Want to control somebody else. You want to take their drawers and bury it in the swamp. You want to put some minstrel blood in the spaghetti. You want to take your homegirl hair because you mad it's long. Have mercy. You know you do. You know you do. You feel some type of way. Okay. Republicans are sounding the warning that the next 9/11-like terror plot. And remember, it's always a right wing, left wing, same bird. Okay? One play they role, the other one play they role. Like the good guys and the bad guys in the WWE. Okay? Republicans are sounding the warning that the next, all of them work for the same man, Vince McMahon. Like all of these work for the same man. Have mercy. They man with they master plan. Okay, whoever Lucifer has incarnated into. Republicans are sounding the warning that the next 9/11-like terror plot could emerge from the regions of Iraq and Syria that are currently dominated by an extremist group bearing down on Baghdad. An extremist group. Interesting. Interesting. As the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, I mean, they have to tell on themselves if you have eyes to see. You ought to see ISIS. Have mercy. Is. It is what it is. When you say that, you're not saying nothing. You don't want to know what it is. You ain't thinking about it. The Mother Goddess got a hold of your mind too. Have mercy. ISIS represents the same thing that the Virgin Mary worship represents, the Queen of Heaven represents, Semiramis represents, Lilith represents. They all represent the same thing, the feminine principle of the adversary. Okay? Athena represents it. Many different names, but the game's the same. Okay. As the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, which has already captured the cities of Tikrit and Mosul, and is threatening to take the capital city as well, grows in strength and numbers, will it pose an immediate threat to the United States homeland as well? We don't know. Experts say the group's increasing power and reach is concerning, though it is not entirely clear when they might be able to threaten the U.S. So they're already planting the seed in your mind. This is mind control, behavior modification program. You've got motivation mixed with opportunity, ideology, and foreign fighters, and all of that looks like a very extreme version of Afghanistan in the 90s. See, they're letting you know what it's going to be like. Plus, what's happening in Iraq after the Iraq War, said CBS News national security analyst Juan Zarate. Z-A-R-A-T-E. I'll break that name down later on. This is a cauldron, because he's the one that said that. Didn't even know it. Didn't even know it. I'm glad I'm always connected to the one that do know it. Try to stay connected. I'm human like the rest of you. I falls off for a few seconds. Just a few seconds. This is a cauldron of future terrorist threats to the West. Interesting. The biggest danger, Zarate said, probably Zarate, looked like karate with a Z, spelled the same way. Zarate said, interesting. First things first, is that the U.S. does not yet know exactly what the group will look like once it evolves. They done picked them and selected them and put the makeup on them and everything. What is you talking about? While ISIS might not launch an attack on U.S. soil tomorrow, he said, I think the grave threat here is that you have the seeds of a new terrorist movement emerging very aggressively. Yeah, we create this stuff. When I say we create it, I mean they create it. Have mercy. They created it in the studio. They put it together. Wag the dog style. Check out that movie too. Don't look at it like this. Watch it with your eyes open and your mind on. The seeds of 9/11s are being planted all over Iraq and Syria, Graham said. Yeah. And guess who's planting them? They are. Graham said they want an Islamic caliphate that runs through Syria and Iraq, and they plan to drive us out of the Mideast by attacking us here at home. Of course, the political shows are used to help plant the agenda in the minds of people, or to plant the seeds of fear. Okay, there's wars and rumors of wars. Why rumors of wars? That was always curious to me, because the rumors of wars are what the media does to implant fear, which is another thing they eat. They eat fear, like they eat blood and sacrifice. They eat fear. Okay. Graham's concerns were echoed on ABC's This Week, of course, by retired General Peter Chiarelli. Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina, said on CBS Face the Nation Sunday that U.S. officials have warned the next major attack on U.S. soil could emanate from the region. Graham's concerns were echoed on ABC's This Week by retired General Peter Chiarelli, who said that all Americans should be concerned. You see, programming fear. Should be concerned by ISIS's quick rise and success in Iraq. You can't make this stuff up. Did you get that? Did you get both ends of that? Did you get the exoteric and the esoteric? The outer meaning was he was talking about this. The inner meaning was, he meant literally, all Americans should be concerned by ISIS's, by the mother goddess's quick rise and success in Iraq. And on Fox News Sunday, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Rogers, Republican from Michigan, said, "I guarantee you, this is a problem that we will have to face. And we're either going to face it in New York City or we're going to face it here." Did you hear that? So be on the lookout for the cookout, because they planning something extra special. Okay? So, the Goetia is real, the Temple of Set and others really conjure and unleash demons. The Brotherhood that worships Saturn is in full effect. They're doing their thing. Okay, they're very direct. You can correlate some of this to the Slender Man and Mothman, misdirection of attention, diversion, distraction, a prelude to aliens being released because the veil has been torn and you have demonic presences here on the earth. Okay, to get you to focus on one or the other as the scapegoat is game. Okay, because these are but minions, and there will be millions of minions. Despicable them. And the Mexican children taking over the border from preschool age on up, taken to military bases. It aligns with MK Ultra, right-wing media, and some conspiracy theorists will twist this. Okay, some conspiracy theorists is going to make you want to point at, oh, they're coming over the border, they're taking our jobs, oh, it's going to mess up the economy. They print the money. You didn't know that? They can print much as they want to. It's not on a gold standard any longer. Okay? So when you see something like that, it's not about money. It's not about money. It's about money to peons. These people is beyond. Okay? They chasing that neon, that light. The source of the light to them, Lucifer. The one that's right to them. And so we will take the spiritual fight to them. Keep me in prayer. I'm going to upload this one right here. And I'm going to get ready to do that there. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into some interesting things. Candy, automatic hoaxes, and false flags in June 22nd. This is Unplug 'em. All y'all. Shalom. Peace. In the Middle East.